This podcast is made possible in part by ProHealth Physicians, along with the members of WSHU Public Radio. If you want to support what you hear, you can donate at WSHU.org. I'm Randye Kaye, and this is Good at Heart, conversations with people who quietly make the world better. Today's guest was a nomination that came in from the form on our website, and we're so grateful when you make us aware of folks who fit the bill and lift our hearts. So thanks to Kristen Cuomo for telling us about this guest. Can you tell me your name and your title?
Sure. My name is Lisa Unander, and I'm the Director of Education at the Long Island Museum in Stony Brook.
Okay, thank you so much. And of course, there is a lot to the Long Island Museum. Today, we're going to be focusing on something called In the Moment. And that's all I'm going to say. And I'm going to let you tell us by asking question number one, which is, who do you help and how?
I've been at the museum for nearly 20 years, and in my earlier years here, I had sort of the incredible opportunity to be around for the creation and kind of continued expansion of our In the Moment programs. And In the Moment programs are a suite of programs that are designed to creatively engage those living with Alzheimer's disease and other forms of memory loss. And they're also designed to support their care partners.
Through the arts?
Yes. So, what began as being modeled after a really successful program that the Museum of Modern Art launched called Meet Me at MoMA. These are techniques that have been really honed in and developed exactly through creative ways that people can engage still through the arts and with the arts, even through the progression of their memory loss and their disease. So our museum was fortunate enough that we became aware of MoMA's program. The people who were directors and in charge of the museum at that time got us connected to the educators at the Museum of Modern Art, and we were able to go to their institution, learn the techniques of what really works, what really creates that spark through the arts, and more importantly, how we would then take those techniques and be able to implement them with our gallery and collection, which is very different from what MoMA's collections are.
Okay, so I've not been to your museum yet. But what struck me about reading about In the Moment is that, first of all, it's that, reaching people's brains through the arts. And, what I know about Alzheimer's a little bit is that sometimes through music and visual art, there are ways to reach parts of the brain that seem inaccessible and suddenly can light up when it exposed to these. But what I'd like to know, first of all, these programs are free, correct?
Yes, they are
And it's
completely.
not just the person with Alzheimer's, but their caregivers as well.
Yes, and that goes for if it is a professional care partner or if it is a family care partner, either way it applies.
Can you tell me a typical experience, without naming names, obviously, a typical experience of someone who has come to this program and what you have witnessed happening?
Sure. The first type of programming that we offered was really exclusively gallery engagement. And we, again, with our model from MoMA, was able to branch off and look at our collection. Our collection is very vast. It's a lot of focused on American art, as well as having one of the nationally best regarded carriage museums. So horse-drawn carriages, that is.
Wow.
So yeah, so quite different, like I said, from what we were doing at MoMA. And the advantage actually that we found was the size of our objects, our carriages, our vehicles, and the relevance of the connection someone might have already had to them really proved to be a wonderful way to engage. We usually have anywhere from maybe 6 to 12 people in a session, and we do not need to know who in that group is the person who is living with memory loss and who's there as their care partner. Sometimes it's something that, becomes apparent to us, but sometimes coming in as a group, it's a really lovely experience where I think we even the playing field with no expectations. Everybody comes in, everyone has a voice, everyone's comments and thoughts are valued. And I do think this gallery engagement provides a space for both the care partner and the individual with memory loss. They get to go back maybe to the way that they possibly went out for entertainment prior to their diagnosis. A lot of times it'll be couples who love to travel, love to go to museums, loved history, loved art. And, in sort of the hubbub of getting diagnosed, obviously the doctor's appointments, the medical necessities that get in the way of everyday life, it's hard to take a break to come out and enjoy
Right.
something just for the
So
pleasure
it's
of enjoying it.
so it's an outing for them,
It
and
is.
it's a kind of a tour of your exhibit. Are there other activities that go along with it, or it's just a free hour in the museum, basically?
We usually have about 3 to 4 pieces we highlight.
Okay.
And it's really open-ended questions of letting them come in, look, notice, wonder, what do you see? Does it look like something you've seen before? And a lot of times, if it's, they'll mention, I saw this in a movie, or I remember as a child, I grew up on a horse farm, and we'll talk about the horses that are with the carriages. So, really, anything that will spark conversation, we take it and go with it. So, being the director of education, the other side of my job, I'm often with school groups and adult groups, and part of our role would be to keep things a bit more streamlined and kind of hitting your curriculum and your deliverables. I think that was one of the hardest things for myself and our team of educators to let go, that this was a moment that's, the title of the program, In the Moment. It was really just about that, what was ever being sort of brought to the surface, reminisced, and enjoyed at the time, kind of encourage that and go with that conversation.
I see. So have you seen eyes light up? Have you seen a caregiver go, "Oh my God, I can't believe she remembered that"? Or is there anything that
All
comes to mind?
all the time, surprises, stories they've never heard sometimes, like very early childhood stories, or really sentimental stories about, somebody's first date,
Oh,
and having the specific details. And you asked if there were um, any other techniques we use beyond just looking at a gallery tour. We do. We splice in many sensory ways, to really help them explore these memories, because we have groups coming to us in all stages of the disease.
mm-hmm.
So there might be some people who are very verbal and, very mobile, and will be able to go around the galleries and take it in a lot with sight and sound. You will also have people who may have lost some of those abilities. So we bring in music. We play music in the galleries for them. Sometimes we will play a song that's relevant, like Surrey with a Fringe on Top, that we will often have
Oklahoma, yeah.
impromptu, chorus of singing. Sometimes
Oh,
they will bring up a song that they know because it kind of comes to them from the carriages.
wow.
We also introduce scent. We use little canisters that we have for smells. Sometimes if we're in one of our art galleries and a large landscape painting, maybe there's flowers in it, we'll pass around a smell of gardenias.
Mm.
And again, what that can elicit for someone, we have a lot of tactile items. We have fabrics. We have um, all different types of horse tools, leathers and metals, all different types of materials that we don't want any of our visitors to reach behind the bars and touch. So we bring out, and we can really engage with them through that as well, that sense.
Wow. Do you have a big waiting list for this, or do people come every week? Like, how does this work for people?
So the programs, as you said, they're offered free of charge. Our main visitors are individuals who are participating in a day program, or individuals who are at a live-in facility. And for those, we have usually once a month about 4 to 5 of our local groups come in. So every month we'll feature a different gallery or a different theme. We also do have programs that we partner with ADRC, Alzheimer's Disease and Resource Center. And that is when we get more individuals who come here who are not necessarily with a group facility. And that we offer once or twice a month. We offer art making, gallery engagement. So really, usually anywhere from 4 to 8 times a month, we are offering this program.
I see. Okay, so it isn't just gallery engagement, but there could be art making programs as well. Do you teach skills that the caregivers can then take back to their facility and use there?
Yes, we have many adaptive art supplies and we lay them out and see what is going to be a good fit for each person. So different size brushes with different handles. I think just basically having some of the art supplies ready and prepared ahead of time really encourages participation, as well as with the care partner. Some of the participants, they'll paint all day. So if someone now knows that, at some harder times or down times at home, if they can have some of these supplies available, they will. We also offer virtual programs. And this was something that, like so many organizations, really became prominent during COVID. And we had to figure out ways to still keep people engaged when they were home. And what happened was, as many organizations and industries, as we were able to happily return to our in-person activities, we really learned that of every population that we were serving virtually at that time, the people who were attending our In the Moment programs had a lot of reasons why virtual was still going to work for them long beyond the concerns of COVID. So with our programs now, we have both opportunities, in person and virtual. And if it is virtual, and if it is art making or gallery engagement, we send items to the people so they can have copies of the images we're seeing, so we can ensure they can see it if they can't see it on the screen. We will send art making kits so we can kind of create together. And then that way they have those kits at home as well.
Wow. And every preschool teacher and every parent and grandparent know that if you lay out the art supplies, art will happen. So, my next question is why you? Why are you doing this work? What is your story that led you take this position as director of education and turn it into this?
A lot of it was fortunate timing that at that time the museum was considering this, but I had personal connection. My grandfather, who was so close with my family our whole lives, he in his 90s was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and it was after my grandmother had passed. And as I've learned more now, engaging with families throughout this program, a pretty common occurrence is if there is a big shift or a loss of a partner, it's often when sometimes a diagnosis becomes more prominent that you realize that there's been a shift. And my grandfather moved in with my parents, and all of us cousins, siblings, everyone was helping out around the clock to make sure that not only was he safe and cared for, but that he had company. And it was during that how important it was to recognize the things that he was still able to do and able to offer. And he was such a multi-talented man. He was an aeronautical engineer. He ran his own travel agency as an entrepreneur. He was kind of Mr. Fix-It for the family. So it was hard at times to see the things that he wasn't able to do. And you could get caught up in feeling, sad about that. But he was at a phase in sort of his diagnosis and his progression that he was really joyful to just have time with family, listen to what everyone was up to, and kind of sitting with him. And there's, a patience level that you start to think about when we have our caregivers here, that there are times that it's hard. It's hard to be the caregiver too. But to know that him as the person he was still there and was still able to connect with us in that way, that meant everything. And I think at the museum, getting that opportunity to see that between the couples that would come in here and giving them that, again, that little moment in the moment, even if it's an hour in their day, knowing that they probably have very difficult days. And if they could have that bit of respite here in the gallery and we could kind of be the catalyst to provide that, then I think all day, every day, my coworkers and I will do that.
I love that. I mean, I have to say, I have people in my life who have brain differences, and when you get that moment and you go, oh, there you are. There you are. Okay, I got one more moment to make a memory. So, I think that is what you're giving the caregivers as well as the care receivers. And you put it beautifully when we were corresponding. You said, in my work, I begin to see how creating a space for joy, expression, and connection, even for a brief moment, hence the name In the Moment, was powerful and meaningful beyond anything I had experienced in the arts. And the arts will do that. And if, as listeners to this podcast know, my passion in life is human connection. It's theater, it's art, it's radio, it's broadcasting, it's public speaking, it's having one-on-one conversations. Like, the value of human connection is at the heart of everything I've ever done with my life. So thank you so much for sharing that story. Question number 3 is, who helps you or inspires you? Who helps your program? Who do you rely on?
I would be very remiss in, I think anything we've talked about today is a group effort. It is our education team who are incredible, and it is our co-directors of the museum, the support, our board, our support for this particular program it's phenomenal. We have received a really generous anonymous grant to make this program be able to run for free. So our supporters also go out into the community because of the importance of it. I think, unfortunately, because Alzheimer's and other memory loss is so prevalent in our community, I think it's touched pretty much everyone. Somebody knows somebody who is going through this, and there is, that human connection of being able to kind of insert your loved one and think about what would this do for them. And with that, I feel like the outpouring of support is really large.
So question number 4 is there a particular, for you, quote or philosophy that inspires you that you live by? And it could be more than one, but is there a moment, a quote from a book, something that happened that inspires you?
I've often gravitated towards song lyrics for looking for inspiration and quotes. It's often my go-to.
Me too.
And yes, it's an endless source of amazing comments, and a song that I've loved as a kid and all through my growing years, and kind of always come back to and definitely think of it differently now than when it was just a fun song, would be Under Pressure by Queen and David Bowie. And at the end of that song, the quote that Bowie sings, "Love dares you to care for the people at the edge of the night, and love dares you to change our way of caring about ourselves." And to me, I think that sums up kind of the two-sided equation here of, if we want to be able to do something that is meaningful, to make that connection, to reach out to someone who's experiencing some sort of isolation or loneliness in some way, and it changes us as well. It's really cyclical in a wonderful way of, if we put it out there, it kind of comes back. So I holding on to that quote.
My final question, and I always struggle to not cry when I hear the answer. Why do you think we're here on Earth, Lisa?
I think it's, again, all related to connections to one another and the way that we can connect and bring joy out in someone else. And if it's encouraging someone maybe just to step out of their comfort zone and experience something new, or simply showing up for them in the good and bad times, I feel to alleviate loneliness can really change somebody's world.
That's beautiful. That's a quote I can live by. Alleviating loneliness can really change somebody's world. So, Lisa Unander, am I saying that right?
Yes.
Director of Education at the Long Island Museum. Check it out. In the Moment is the program we're talking about. There's also a museum's annual Through Our Eyes exhibition, which features original artwork from participants with Alzheimer's disease and other forms of memory loss. So thank you so much for what you do to quietly make the world better. And thank you for joining us at Good at Heart.
Thank you so much for having us today.
If you know someone who you think would be a good guest for the podcast, there's a form you can fill out on our website. You'll find it at wshu.org.